Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Tony Sirianni podcast. I am thrilled to have our friend George Nichols, who's the CEO of the American College of Financial Services, with us. Thanks for being here, George.
Tony, thank you for having me. I'm
Well,
excited.
yeah, it's fun. So look, I mean, I guess for anybody who doesn't know, maybe just tell them a little bit about what the American College does. I think most advisors know, but we'll take a
Sure.
swing
Well, thank you for asking, though,
at
and allowing
it.
us to
Sure.
share. We're excited that in 2027, we will be celebrating our 100th anniversary as a college. And the reason I like to start with that is there's not a lot of organizations left that have been around 100 years.
No,
So it's
no.
pretty cool that we've been doing that. And then when you think about the Chartered Life Underwriter, it was probably the first professional financial designation in the
Yeah.
country, some almost 200,000 alumni from the college. So we're pretty excited about that. But when I think about really what's the essence of what the American College of Financial Services, it actually isn't a mission statement. It's just four quick things. One, we believe in applied financial knowledge. When I hear people talk about workforce development, we've been there for the last 100 years. It's really applied financial knowledge. Second thing is it's lifelong learning, that you never know everything and things change. So you got to be a part of that. The fourth thing is, are you ethical and doing it with integrity? And then the last thing is everything we do has to be benefiting in society. So when I think of the college, imagine a place that says we want to be the premier uh, applied financial knowledge for financial advisors across the country so that they are continuously being smarter and competent in their job. They're ethical and doing the right thing on behalf of their clients, the benefit of society. That's really what the American College is.
Well, that's great. Well, first of all, the 100-year-old thing, I guess wasn't aware. I was stupid.
Yeah,
But 100
I'm
years, yeah.
excited. We,
Well,
we were so excited. Now, of course, I can't say that we're 250 years old, which the college
I
will
know
celebrate
a
next
good
year, but
anniversary of it.
still,
But that's
pretty
pretty good
cool.
for financial services. You know, it's the crazy thing is that you're sitting in that seat. It's 100 years old, but this business has changed more in the
Ah,
last
yes.
5 years than it probably has in the previous, 95, right? So I mean, you're presiding over a time when there's just an awful lot of change. It's good to have stable institutions, right? But at the same time, we've got a lot going on in the industry. So how do you, I guess for me, I'd be sitting there saying, well, how do you maintain sort of what you've already got, this 100-year reputation, in the face of constant change? And how do you keep an organization that's 100 years old nimble?
Sure. Great question. So think about the college started 1927 with the goal of professionalizing the life insurance agent.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, fast forward 100 years, and we're saying that it's not just a life insurance agent, it is a financial advisor, and you can use whatever broad definition you want to use. Okay. But what we firmly believe is a couple of things, and this is what has kept us, I think, being successful. The center of what happened 100 years ago and the center of what happens now is the client. And it's all about the client. They had needs and they were limited opportunities, but they have needs now and they're greater opportunities. And so the question becomes, when you're an advisor, are you focused on really what your client needs and that you have the skills, the knowledge, and the competency to deliver that? And if you don't, then maybe you should come to the American College so we can help you.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, look, it's become it's a weird dichotomy because in some ways it's more competitive, and you
Yes.
wonder, and but there's fewer advisors. We keep seeing
Right.
there's fewer,
Right.
but at the same time, competition is greater. And when I started a million, it feels like 100 years ago, we didn't even count assets. We didn't know how many. It wasn't
Right.
something we did.
Right.
But
That's right.
today, given the way advisors get paid, and again, I'm linking in some of the work that you guys do with the CFPs and the planning and all that stuff. You're now trying to gather as many assets as you can. You know what I mean? You're trying because that's how you really get paid. You're aligned with the client, right? And like that. So I think when you look at the landscape and see how some of those are just sort of the major shifts. I'm not talking about what AI is going to do or anything today.
Right.
You know, how do you talk about the education part of it when you think
Yeah.
about those things? Like, advisors are gathering more assets. They're Um, there's some way there's a lot more competition and sort of defining yourself through education.
So a couple of things here, and the example that you just set up is perfect.
Yeah.
We have been through a long period of time that everything has been about gathering assets.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've done a phenomenal job of gathering assets and helping people grow those assets. But now let's go to some stats. One of them is that if you look at where the wealth is in the United States, okay, the boomers control almost 50% of that,
Yeah.
which means they're getting to a point where, yeah, I appreciate my assets growing, but I also have to think about the distribution of those assets.
True,
And
yeah.
yeah, we don't have a lot of advisors know how to do that because guess what? It is against the approach that I had, which is I get paid based on the growth of assets. And now I've got to think about how do I help my client? Again, let's go back to the center of this. How
Yeah.
do I help my client have an income stream that looks at a variety of opportunities for them in life because life has changed? And so when we looked at that, we concluded that, all right, the foundation is comprehensive financial planning, CFP, CHFC.
Yeah.
It's comprehensive financial planning. But what clients really need is specialization. Hey, Tony, I'm ready to retire. Can you help me with all the money you helped me grow? I now need to talk to someone about retirement. How am I going to live in the next 20, 30 years of that? Hey, Tony, I just want you to know that my father has Alzheimer's. So now I've got this
Right.
special needs thing that I really need to worry about. Hey, Tony, you know what? I'm trying to figure out how I can maximize my taxes. And I don't want to talk to my accountant about it. I want to talk to somebody who does planning around that. Well, then all of a sudden, this comprehensive financial planning thing we've done, your client is saying, I'd really like you to specialize or have access to those things that are now becoming more unique and specific. You can't give me general information about what to do with my father when I
Yeah.
talk about guardianship. You can't be a generalist when you're sitting there and I'm saying, like, hey, you know what? I got $1 million and I want to put it to, I want to give a charitable gift somewhere, or I want to start a
Yeah.
qualified fund. You now are going to have to specialize. So the college made a decision 3 or 4 years ago. We said, you know what? We're committed to the comprehensive financial planning as the foundation, but the future advisor success is going to be those who can specialize and
I
really
agree. These, you look at what's happened. If you see what I see advisors, and I'm talking about like RIA firms and things
yep,
like that, they're
yep,
all doing like, they're all doing George's, advisor plus, like advisor plus accounting, advisor plus tax,
right,
advisor plus,
right.
and I think because they're realizing that, they if they'd like to be a one-stop shop rather than have those assets go away, and the other challenge is next gen. So this money's going to be
Yes.
moving, right? So you better have a specialty, that makes sense for the whole family.
And Tony, let me digress for just a moment. Something, yeah, when you talk about the next gen, I'd given a presentation a couple of weeks ago, and I was blown away when I'd asked Sarah to pull together some information. So think about this. I'm excited that we are getting ready to celebrate 100 years. In 2013, a company called Robinhood Platform was created.
Yep.
Okay, they have 27 million clients on their platform.
Wow.
And now they started with you want to do stock trading and all that great stuff. Okay, fine. But now they're bringing other things to the table. All right. So when we think about what they've been able to do from 2013 to then, I wish I had that many clients, but like it's really thinking about going to the center of this, which is where your client is. And your client is not a generalist. Your client has specific needs. And where Robinhood is thinking about what's the new needs that people have and keep them hooked to our platform, the same thing is going to happen to advisors is how do you create this situation where your client says they either have the knowledge for me to have these very specific things I want to do, or they have the relationship to bring that expertise into it, it's teaming to help me get to the things that I want to do. And I'm excited that we've got this population of people who have a lot of money, but they need advice even more now
Yeah.
because they got to think about how it lasts, how I transfer that wealth, and what I get to do. And when you get to that point, it really, Tony, comes down to your why. It's not how much you got; it's how do I want to live? What am I? What's my purpose? And all
I,
those things are an advisor is going to have to start bringing to the table.
You also mentioned teaming, which is interesting to me because you'll see some guys who've been in the business for a long time, 20, 30 years.
Oh,
I don't have any designations. I don't need them, blah, blah. However, they love to have CFPs on the team.
right.
So, I don't know how much of that you see in terms of people sort of coming to you guys and saying, "Hey, give us some education. I'm on a big team and I need to be the go-to planning guy or the go-to."
Actually, it's one of the things that we actually want to do a better job of because I don't think they can get it anywhere.
Right.
What we're seeing is yes, they do want to be a part of a team, and there's two roles. Obviously, I'm a member of a team and I bring my expertise, or
Right.
I'm the leader of the team and I'm bringing in the expertise from a variety of sources. So that's one thing. But the other thing that's happening that where this whole teaming concept and when people are looking for this advice and something that we as a college want to do a better job of is think about a family office.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'm an RA. We've grown. We've got 10 clients that have $100 million apiece. Okay, now that's not big enough for us to create a family office. Okay, when you think about
Yeah.
conceptually family office today, but what we're hearing advisors and these RAs saying, but I wish I could do like a family office light. How can I team and give some of the things that they would get in a family office, but I'm giving it to multiple families that don't have that high level, but they feel like they're part of this family office concept. And we've got to start. So now we take all the pieces, the specialization that we believe in, and then our understanding of how the teaming, and we're trying to put that together and then say, okay, how would you create this family office light where you can take care of these clients that have these needs, but they're not where they can have their own deal. But the only way you achieve that is a teaming concept.
Yeah.
And we want to be the leader in that. And that's one of those things that's under development for us.
Well, I think it's great because it also, gives advisors confidence when they're going out and gathering assets to know they have the expertise to deal with it. And let's face it, a lot of clients look today with the inheritance laws, really, if you don't have $15 million, right, you're not.
Right.
But however, I'm sorry, a guy who's been a doctor his whole life, worked, he's got 5 million, he feels like he wants to have all that
Right.
stuff.
I mean,
So you'd be great,
but
great, great.
but Tony, this is where I think that our profession, our industry has to start looking more broadly.
Yeah.
Uh, it- you're right. So how many you got 5 million? Come back to me when you got 10. All right.
Right.
But think about the number of people that are on the Robinhood platform. The average account size is $11,000,
Yeah.
but they're going to grow.
Of course.
And they've already got a relationship somewhere else.
Hey, this has been a
I think
challenge. This has been a challenge in the industry for a long time because when you worked at big
right,
warehouses, they made you get rid of the small accounts. And a lot of
that's
guys,
right.
these accounts are going to grow or they're part of a family. It's
They
frustrating.
really are. I was funny. I remember the when this is 100 years ago. It really was 100 years ago. And I was like, I'm getting ready to get married, and I was like, I need life insurance because now I have this reason, because I want to leave something. And so we were sitting down, and I called, and I was not in the insurance business at all. I called four companies, and only one of them called me back. Okay. Now I have a different advisor today, but that one advisor who sold me that life insurance back then. Okay. He's still one of my advisors when I think of the insurance component
Yeah.
because he was there when no one else would even call me. And
Yeah.
so then all of a sudden, when I start getting money, everybody's calling me. All
Yeah.
right, it's too
Hey,
late.
everybody's pal now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, so two couple things you mentioned that I think are challenges that are, facing our industry going forward, right? So you mentioned Robinhood and AI. And I think it's interesting that combination, is we were sort of sidelined with this robo,
Right.
advising thing, which
Right.
was a joke, right? Didn't that I knew that wasn't going to work. But the
Right.
AI, I have a different feeling about for a lot of reasons, and I think that it's going to drive, or it should at least drive specialization, because if AI, look, it can only look at what's out there already, right? But it will be able to make, I think, ETF recommendations and things like that. And I think
Yeah.
we don't have regulation around it yet, George, but when we
Right.
do, it could go either way. You could say you have a 401(k), you didn't run it through AI. So, you have, Or you could say you have a 401k and you did run it through AI and made a mistake, right? So
Right.
where are you going to come down with that? But this combination of what you mentioned with Robinhood and sort of this mass market, it's good that people are coming in, but we want them to obviously get help from our guys. We want you to do the smartest thing to do. So how do you see that combo kind of affecting where we're going to be in the next,
Another great question, Tony. It's so the way we look at it is that first of all, and this is I think this is everybody's statement about AI.
Right,
AI is not going to take your job. The person who knows AI is going to take your job.
right.
So I really do believe that.
Yeah,
So
me too.
when we think of advisors, and I even think about the people on a Robinhood platform, I still want someone to talk to before I pull the trigger on this big thing I'm getting ready to do. And so now think of what AI is doing. So AI is going to be, it's going to create all of the portfolios I want to create, whatever the client wants. I can get that done. I'm going to be more efficient. I can get it done in half a day where it might take me 2 months in the old way before AI. So you're having this efficiency. But at the end of the day, when all that data comes out and you get your answer, are you competent enough to say, yep, that makes sense?
Well, what's interesting is we had this guy, Jack Devine, who is he's a good friend of AdvisorHub, and he ran all the spies at the CIA, so he was like that kind of guy. So we asked him about
Wow.
AI. He's got an interesting point of view, but he's like they use AI all the time now. You see it in every newspaper in the world for intelligence gathering, right? So AI, and he said, but it's like the worst thing you could do because AI just gives you whatever the common denominator.
Right.
It takes everything in and says, well, here's the common answer. And he goes, it's not like the bad guys are going to do what the common answer is. You
Right.
got to think a little bit. And so, kind of feel the same way about this.
It is.
You're going to want something that's, a little more thoughtful than, AI. But to
Because you're going to have to, like, once you get the portfolio plan, I mean, like, you're the one that says, one, does this make sense? Because hopefully you're competent that what is being spit out, you actually understand. So, does this make sense for my client? But then you're like, well, wait a minute, let me look at the individual client.
yeah,
Does it really make sense for them? Because maybe that's not what they want. They wanted something else. You know that. That's your knowledge. That's not coming out of, it was
I
never
would,
put into the data source and it's not coming out of the data source, but you know that. So we believe that advisors should understand all the, I mean, they should know about Claude, they should know about Copilot, they should know about ChatGPT, they should know everything that's out there because they don't know which one the client may be using.
that's right.
But the fact is, when it comes out, they have to be competent, and that's where this whole applied knowledge thing comes. You
Well,
got to
yeah.
be competent to say, "Yep, this makes sense," or "It doesn't make sense."
Well, that's in my mind. That's the thing. AI. This is not a commercial for you because I haven't been thinking about education this way. But as a practical matter, I think AI is going to drive the need for specialization. Right? You're going to have to
Yes.
if you want to differentiate yourself as I just think that this drive towards differentiation for advisors is going to be critical because you have to AI is going to make more. We already have this dumbing down of products. We have this, things always revert to the mean all the time
Right.
now, and there's a commoditization of a bunch of things. They haven't been able to commoditize advice, but just I think having these specializations it would be. I mean, it's a commercial for you, but I do think that it's true. It's going to help.
Well, we agree, Tony, and thank you for the endorsement. But yeah, we really do believe that, and and it was when you just stop and think about like when we were thinking our history and we're like, oh, we're saying we're going to like move into this specialization, these things that really are important to clients, but it was all driven on what we were seeing and hearing from consumers.
Yeah.
We looked at research and we looked at research from advisors who say like I provide all these things. And then we said, well, what do consumers want? And they have this whole list. And usually the lists compare, okay? But then you say, all right, are you really giving it to your clients and advisors? Yes, I am. And then you go ask the consumer says, no, I'm not getting any of this.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting surface level stuff
Yeah.
about what I really want to know as opposed to someone that really knows me and is helping me drive what it is ultimately that I want to do.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to leave it at that. That's I call that a high note, right? So
All
like
right,
Jerry,
great.
a
Okay.
high note. Look, we'll talk again. I think this is very interesting, and appreciate what you guys are doing for the business out there.
We love it. And again, thank you for having us and having a chance to have a conversation. It's really exciting what's happening in the field. I think that the financial services world and financial advisors is a noble profession.
I
And
agree.
I hope more and more people get involved in it.
I agree. Good stuff. All right. Well, thanks for being here.
All right. Thank you.